Hello and welcome to Evil Ginger Miniatures, where I am recording my 100 subscriber special, or thank you. My subscriber count has been growing quite nicely, thank you, and I just wanted to say hello to everyone who's new and to introduce you to a game which I have been quite heavily invested in since it started. The thumbnail for this should be a piece of cover art from the first edition. I've taken a photograph of my own rule set, but I don't have them to hand because they're in the workshop, and there is a lot of stuff in the workshop which needs sorting out and organising. Multiple amounts of this sort of shelving, but the plastic stuff which needs replacing with the metal, because I can get more shelves space that way. I may even have a large quantity of shelving to provide to people. I'm not wearing my glasses because these aren't actually reading glasses and they catch the light. So I'm going, if you see me groping for keys and stuff, that's all part of the entertainment, and the fact that I am getting a little bit in the eyesight department and I really need to go to an optician that doesn't drive me up the wall, but that is a side issue. It's also quite early when I'm recording this because I'm going to be spending most of the rest of the day doing things I don't really want to do, but I'm going to have to do anyway. Anyway, Frostgrave. Frostgrave is a wonderful game. I played it extensively during first edition, which is pre-COVID, so really ancient days. And the second edition came out about the same time that COVID occurred, and I haven't actually played much of second edition. I've done some solo test games, so I have a bit of a feel for it. But as pretty much all of the supplements I got for first edition, and I got many until I was overwhelmed by the sheer number of them, Frostgrave has produced a lot of supplements, and at some point I'm going to invest in the get all the books thing when Northstar do a new release, and I'll catch up. As I say, it's first edition is where I started. Second edition will work with most of the stuff that was done for first edition. That was a deliberate design choice. I think the only thing that doesn't actually work is the first edition spell card Grimoire, and because the most significant change to the rules between editions were the whole with the spells and some changes on warband composition, which were probably necessary and were previewed in another gem which people don't seem to like, the Lost Isles, which was very much Frostgrave 1.5. Under first edition rules, it was quite possible to have a very shooty army, very shooty warband, and to shoot living daylights out of people. It wasn't fun having that done to you, even if it was occasionally fun doing it to someone else. But other than that, rules, scene, figures, fairly interchangeable between them. The figures definitely are, and I just love the figures to the point that I have recently bought these, which I waved under everybody's nose on the Evil Ginger episode that I did this week, and which I will look at and go into detail. Now, as ever, these boxes are packed, and it is a swine to get them back in after you've done it, which is why I didn't take everything out. Also, the box art is really cool. At some point, I'm going to be getting a set of the box art for these and other games for that matter, and I'm going to be putting them in frames because they're really good, and they're far too good just to be packaging to throw away. In the box, you get your 10 bases. These are just round, flat Brunedra bases. Remember, rough side goes down, smooth side goes up, and you also get 4 of these sprues, because that's 20 models. Now, the sculpts for Frostgrave have been were good when they started, and they're getting better. The whole point about them being that you can mix and match and make all of the warriors types that are listed in Frostgrave out of them, and you can also combine them to make them even more interesting and dynamic. Basically, but you only get sort of this, you get repeats, but not repeats, if that makes any sense. You could make them all the same. I've used them for making armies. I've got units for my undead army, which are the cultists that raise the undead, and those cultists are all from 1 and 2. This is cultist 3, and I will be making some interesting additions to the undead army out of them, because the death cult needs more troops. Other than that, and whilst grey plastic is fun, it's much more fun when it's got paint on it. And these are, if I can point them in your direction, 3 of my Frostgrave warbands. World's best image, but these are 2 demo warbands that I did last year before I had my little mental episode. They're mounted on coins and are mostly out of figures that I've kit bashed. This is, I believe, the Wizard's Apprentice. There are also, that's A and B demo war games. For demo games, I also got a large amount of scenery sitting in the workshop that needs basing up and finishing from Phoenix Games, not Fenrir. Fenrir are a lovely manufacturer. One of the earliest resin cast models that I got hold of were Fenrir, and they're gorgeous if a little hard to get hold of, and usually on horribly chunky bases, which it's not a good idea to try and remove because that just breaks the figure. They're a little delicate because the resin at the time wasn't quite as good as it is now, but the models are gorgeous. But the demo forces are, there's 2 demo forces, and then there is my personal, naturally dwarf themed warband. I'll be posting pictures of all this that I'll take this afternoon while I'm waiting for the deliveries that may or may not turn up. But these are all heavily kit bashed. Here's one of the dwarf. Well, he's a dwarf knight, I think he is. He's got a shield, he's got heavy armour, and he's made out of assorted dwarf kits. I think the sword is from Wargames Atlantic Irish, and the shield is a little Roman small shield from one of the cavalry units or from Gripping Beast. As I say, he's a gorgeous guy, and there are 4 of them. That's one of the rank and file. Sorry, that's one of the rank and file. Again, packs and equipment came from Warlord British, and I did quite a bit of resculpting under the beard, because the one criticism I will have of Oathmark dwarf figures, which were the core of these models, is that their beards aren't chunky enough, and they've been cast hollow so that you can see if they're constructed under there, and it irks me, and I usually stick the heads on with a bit of green stuff, and I will sculpt the back of the beard so it looks like it's more like it's part of the figure. But I really like these. As I say, you've got that's an engineer's pack from one of the Warlord, I think that's Warlord British, one of the Warlord British sets, World War II British, and of course there's a bit of snow on the ground. on the base. Not a lot of snow on the ground on the base, because it was always my reasoning that Frostgrave was mostly cold enough for snow to behave very much like sand, and it would blow and it would drift up against walls and structures, and there would be clear bits where it was just hard, frozen, packed ground. But that's my headcanon. This is the Dwarf Apprentice. No, this is Dwarf Wizard. And that would be me on the field. I might attempt one using a Anglo-Saxon style head, because I like pegging caps in real life as well. But you'd look a bit silly wearing them in the street. Well, no sillier than most of the people that wear woolly bobble hats and stuff like that, but Pygian caps have a bit of elegance about them, which I quite like, being an inelegant creature myself. But that is Frostgrave, and there will be a lot of Frostgrave on this, and I'll be using these two demo warbands in actual play very shortly, because I have several big tables down in the workshop. I have two, and the back table was traditionally kept clearer so that I could do big projects like build scenery on it, and actually play games on there. And in the dim and distant past, pre-COVID, so 5 years ago, it feels longer, I actually had actual gaming around here, and I intend to do that again, at least for the purposes of getting some of the nice people I know around here to play games that I can film. I'm still working out the whole practicalities of filming, because I don't really have a camera that will do it the way I want it to do, and I may have to resort to getting a camcorder to do that. And I'm rather hoping that this channel gets monetized so that I can get a camcorder. I have spent an awful lot of money on this kit so far, so I'm not scrounging if I'm trying to get someone else to help me pay for things like a camcorder or lighting arrangements and stuff like that for downstairs. And I would also like to pay an editor, because I'm getting to the point where I can actually use this, the editing software, OBS and that sort of thing, but I'm never going to be an expert at it. I'm a figure painter. I sort of can take quite reasonable pictures of stuff, some of which are usable, but I'm not terribly good at transferring technical skills these days, and I'd like to give someone else, a bit of a chance to do something they love and actually get a bit of money for it, because, as I say, the editor would be paid just as soon as I get this thing properly monetized. Anyway, we'll stop moaning about that, because I'm really hoping that this will take off, and I'll continue to gain subscribers, and I will bring a little joy to a reasonable world, because that's the whole point of life. Why not be happy and have a pastime which is fun, and you can tell stories, because we're not around long. Even us dwarf folk aren't around for that long, and leave good memories. Anyway, I think I've probably done enough, and I'm possibly going to go on to the Evil Rainforest Entities website and see if I can find a countdown timer or a count up timer, which I can sit in the corner off camera, and I can tell how long these are going on for, because I lose track and I will talk for hours if I've got the material to talk for. Anybody who I've DM'd for will tell you that, and I have to resist doing that when I'm a player, because I don't want to take that player that takes the GM's interest for the thing, because it's a group thing. Anyway, Evil Ginger will continue to develop. Good stuff will be coming out, I hope. Hope you like it, and I hope you stick around to see it. Take care, everybody, and goodbye for now. I will now attempt to find out where my mouse has gone so I can actually Right, okay, I should cut this bit off, but it just, I'm going to have to put the glasses on because where's the mouse gone? It's probably migrated onto the screen. Oh, this is ridiculous. Where have it gone? Right, there we are. Also, while